Well, you may have updates in the
Yeah.
background going on.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, don't forget to uh, do not disturb your
I
phone.
shut my phone off.
We
That's why
don't
you
get
couldn't
anything
get
weird.
through to me on text.
It's
That
on
way it
silent.
wouldn't be ringing right in the middle of the interview.
Barry Jones got his eyes on the sky, looking for saucers in the black night high. Abduction dreams and alien screams. He says they're out there more than it seems. JD's got a lens hunting for Bigfoot's trace, deep in the woods, in the shadows, embrace a rush on the ground. He's frozen in place. Did you hear that? Something's on the chase. Charlie with the spirits chasing the unknown. Answers we crave, but we're out here alone. The fear grabs high, but we're laughing in its face. Spirits, cryptids, aliens, all hands chase.
So, welcome to this episode of Chumming with the Spirits. I'm JD.
I'm Parachum.
And we have a special guest, F.K. Sterling. Mr. Sterling is a renowned author known as the Indiana Jones of the Ozarks, based out of Eureka Springs. We're going to be talking to him about topics of the area and what inspired some of his books.
Yeah.
Mr. Sterling, you want to do a self-introduction of what made you who you are real quick?
I've always been interested in the paranormal, the unusual, and the unexplained. I grew up until I was 17 years old in the scrublands and forests of Ocala, Florida, investigating the nearby woods and digging up cow bones and looking for shark teeth and different types of fossils from the time that Florida was nothing but a vast ocean. And I lived after my teen years in Harrison, Arkansas. As an older adult, I went to Arizona State University, where I graduated from this past year. I majored in anthropology and art history, minored in English and film, and I very much throughout my life loved Ripley's Believe It or Not. I was a big fan of Graham Hancock and Ancient Aliens, and so this has always been of interest to me. I've been a writer since I was 14. Starting around 2016, I began amassing, if it were, a large iCloud filled with material, articles, papers, books, which I now put my hand in, so to speak, edit and produce for my books. And I still have quite a few books that are unpublished, and I'm getting ready right now to publish. I was eventually what I did is I started my own imprint here in Eureka Springs. It's a registered imprint of Carroll County, Ozark Lore Books. This month, I'm getting ready to release the first week of September a webzine, Eureka Lore magazine, which is going to be featuring not just Ozark and Eureka Springs material related to the paranormal, archaeology, lost civilizations, but we're also going to deal with all kinds of subjects all around the world related to the unusual, the unexplained, archaeology, paranormal, UFOs. And that's really what it's going to be all about. We're going to have top authors writing for it. It's going to be really something, and we're going to get a lot of our revenue from ad sales. And it's also you'll be able to get a premium version for $2. Actually, not two, but originally it was going to be $2. It's now going to be a $5 monthly subscription, in which you will get special features for that extra price. Otherwise, it'll be a free weblog.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And you're based out of Eureka Springs, which for us was the first time we really got to enjoy Eureka was
Yeah.
actually the ObscureCon where we got to meet you in person. Um, what an
Yeah.
amazing little town. That is a area that, and unless you're there, you really, it's kind of hard to explain, the way that the town's set up, the hills, the cutbacks, the crescent. Well, just not just the crescent. There's some beautiful
Oh,
houses
yeah.
through that area that
I mean,
you would not expect.
minus the heat, if you didn't know any better, I would have thought we were in
Yeah,
Colorado.
it is hot now, but in
That's
just a
just how it
month, it's
felt.
going to be very, very cool. You'd be surprised how fast it
Yep.
changes.
But it had that
Yeah,
small town
like
mountain
Aspen.
Colorado feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or Estes Park.
what you could tell that probably before Branson became Branson, Eureka Springs was the
Yeah.
area to go to because there's a lot of small hotels, resorts. Like I said, the architecture through there, probably the original. We were talking about it when we were driving around. Probably the original tiny home community area.
Yeah.
One of the more famous ones is on the main road. I ended up taking some pictures of it. It looks like a tiny home with Victorian style. I believe it's an Airbnb.
You know what it reminded me of?
And you had to step on the
There was a
grass.
set that they used several times for the Twilight Zone with homes that looked exactly like that street. And they had it in the original Twilight Zone. And that street looks like the houses there. Like the one in the one movie, one episode, The Elegy, which basically was the ripoff of Ray Bradbury's Martian Chronicles. But it was they had some homes in there like that, the very almost Victorian homes, and the astronauts are walking around the street, and they're like, "Oh, I like this house." Well, there's a house there that looks exactly like that house. Like they actually filmed it right there. Which reminds me, originally, Creature of the Black Lagoon was going to be the Creature of Black Bass Lake. And it was later on decided that they were going to move the whole basis of the creature to like Central America or South America. I can't remember exactly where. I haven't really watched the movie that much, so I don't know exactly where it took place. But they didn't. They ended up filming it in Florida and not having it in Black Bass Lake. But when I heard the story, that's when I started coming up with the idea that I was going to investigate some local legends of a creature there, and I wrote a book about it, The Creature of Black Bass Lake, and it's one of my newest books. And right now, if someone wants to get it, it's available at Pocket Fairy Shop right by, I forget the name of it, but I think the secondary title of the secondary name of the shop is the Mystique Emporium, and it's right by
we drove by
Basin Lake Park, Basin Lake Hotel actually, and
because remember we drove on the way home. We drove through Basin Lake.
Yeah, I mean, Eureka Springs got some really neat shops. Like the bodega downtown. That was another kind of neat feature. The downtown's really unique, set up for tourism. I mean, but the architecture and the people and all the shops was pretty neat.
It's definitely coffee is amazing.
Worth a stop.
I love that place. I love it.
Well, most people don't realize about the Ozarks and how, I don't want to say mountainous, but they're not hills. They're like, you don't want to be just, miss a turn. But through that area, which is, just north of Little Rock all the way into Missouri, they're actually older than the Rockies. That's why they're worn down as much. But there's a lot of myth and legends in that area.
The Ozark Mountains are not produced by plate tectonics. They're just an old seabed that over millions of years was shaped by erosion and different environmental factors. So they were originally the bottom of a primordial Mississippian Devonshire seabed back in the day, and then slowly over time became a very high mountain range. But then over time, that itself wore it down to basically stubble compared to where it was. When the dinosaurs were at their prime, it was a towering type of mountain chain, but it's very low now compared to where it was. It is.
Still a beautiful area. Well, and when you're driving around, you can realize how it could easily be hiding very large animals, because there are some areas just they're almost
Yeah.
impossible to get to.
Well, my big experience is with the
treasure buried
shining
out there.
ones, what I call the shining ones, in Newton County. When I was parked there during the autumn around Halloween, around near Lost Valley, and I was just sitting there one night and just kind of taking in the atmosphere and the cool air, and coming over the ridges were this angelic, lighty, illuminated beings just floating across the ridges. And it was not extraterrestrial. I wouldn't say it was angelic. I wouldn't say it was questionable whether it was anything physical. It was just an amazing experience, unlike anything I've ever seen. And I don't know if you would call it a cryptid or what you would call it. Definitely ultra terrestrial. And I did mention it in my book on ultra terrestrials and different magnetic forces. It's called Worlds Beyond Worlds, and it's available on my website. And I talked all about that experience in that book.
You know what that reminds me of?
Cocoon?
And I'm gonna go down a little tangent here. I immediately go to Lord of the Rings and the elves.
Or the Fae.
Yeah, because that's what an elf is, right?
Well, how big was the creature? Would you
Well, it
guess?
wasn't like a creature, and it wasn't anything that you could really give any size to. It was just this wispy, withery glow. It's like almost like a typical ghost that you would see in a Halloween picture, with the sheet. It's just this willowy, translucent image, like almost like you're watching a huge jellyfish just flying across the ridge in the sky. It's just crazy. It was beautiful and awe-inspiring, and it was questionable, like I said, whether it was physical, whether it was a cryptid, whether it was an extraterrestrial. To this day, I have no answer for it, but it was a unique experience by any means.
So I mean, Justin would be interested in hearing this story because it could have been some sort of bioluminescent, biological, terrestrial UFO creature, living creature.
Cryptids of the Corn, Justin and Jay, they have multiple hours covering similar. When you said jellyfish, the two main things that pop up are jellyfish and squids.
I just had
and
squid for lunch yesterday.
Just don't let it have you for lunch. That's the main thing. But they talk about bioluminescent creatures that are generally in the high upper atmosphere. They do drop down if they're sick or some strange series. But all this stuff is still new, and we're still finding things out.
Well, it's always been speculated like Jupiter and some of those planets, the gas giants, actually have floating creatures in their atmospheres. It's been widely speculated about that. If you read Carl Sagan's Cosmos and you open the book and you see all the pictures, he's actually got pictures of floaters in there, as he called them.
Yeah. Well, every time we say there's nothing could survive at that place, we go look and there's life. So everything from under the ice sheets for millions of years, sealed off caves, to the bottom of the ocean, everything is we constantly are learning new things every time we turn around.
Yeah, the key is not to revitalize and bring them back to life.
Yeah, let's not bring
Doesn't end
back
well.
germs and bacteria that have no known.
Billions of years.
Yeah. But you actually have quite a few books based in the Ozark, because you have one, I believe, on vampires as well, and Eureka Springs.
Blood Memory. Yeah, I do.
Which is, the fact that you're making your own almost universe in Eureka Springs with what you're doing, taking modern ideas of these cryptids and putting them in a pretty interesting location. Like I said, until one of our viewers goes to Eureka Springs and sees it, it's kind of hard to explain how unique of an area it really is, and the people were so amazing. We'll definitely be back for if they do Obscuricon again. I believe there's another paranormal event that usually goes on at Eureka Springs.
Yeah, it's the UFO
as
conference next year. I'll be there.
The UFO con, yep.
Yeah,
It's in April.
Yeah, we may have to. It's been April's like a busy month for us, but we'd love to be able to make it down there. If anything, we may make it down on an off time and just kind of, because we didn't get to spend a lot of time at the Crescent, which is one of the more famous hotels for paranormal. But it's not the only location in Eureka Springs. There's, of course, cryptid activity all over the Ozarks that a lot of people don't realize. Whether it's man-made, like some people think the Ozark Howler may be remnants of people making stuff up to keep them away from the steels, to be a panther. Technically a jaguar.
So that brings up a good point, because I know back in the day, in the 1700s, late 1800s, taxidermy, they would actually create monstrosities to scare people away. I mean, who's to say that like the Ozark Howler wasn't something in that realm?
I mean, it's a possibility. The Ozark Howler is really a combination of indigenous beliefs and beliefs of the Scots-Irish. I'm not saying it's not real, but the interpretation of what they say, the idea that his howl presages death, is very similar to their tradition of the Irish tradition of the banshee. When you hear the howl of the banshee, the wail of the banshee, that means someone's going to die. So when you hear the wail of the Ozark Howler, that's a premonition that someone's on their deathbed. At the same time, could be a cultural memory of a saber-toothed cat, or could be something very, very real and very, very unseen. I wrote about it in one of my books, actually a couple of my books, and so it was in The Haunted Hollows of Eureka Springs. I talk about the Howler, and also Ozark Nightmares, which actually is fiction, but it's based on, folklore and tradition that has been going around for centuries. Yeah. So it's very interesting. It's one of my newest books. And right now I'm getting ready with fiction and stories and different books like that for Halloween all this month, because I'm anticipating a lot of sales with some of my scariest titles. I also have a History of Halloween book called A Long Dark Path, Halloween's Mythic Transformation. And I'm hoping that will sell pretty well once Halloween hits. I also have Eureka Springs Crawl, which is about the zombie crawl.
So, Jeremy, let's go ahead and take a quick little break.
Want me to stop the recording? And
no, you don't have to. We're going to go get some drinks real quick and I don't know what I'm trying to say. Take a
break. We'll be right back.
And take a listen to this sponsor. We'll be right back.
Parachum here from Chumming with the Spirits podcast. We have all had those horrible mornings after a long night out from drinking with friends. But what if that could all be avoided with a simple gummy? That's right. A simple gummy could help reduce the effects of the worst hangovers you could possibly imagine. Liqueur's special product contains electrolytes, antioxidants, vitamins B6 and B12, as well as prickly pear and milk thistle to help counteract those previous night's endeavors. Get rid of those next morning discomforts and get on with your day-to-day routines without missing a single step. Make sure to visit their store at www.liqueur.com, liqure.com, and use code CHUMMING, CHUMMING, at checkout to receive your 20% discount today.
Okay, welcome back from this break. I'd also like to mention our sponsor, Rustic Supply Co., sponsor of our show, makes metal signs, all sorts of neat, interesting items. Please go check out their Facebook and Etsy page. And we will continue our conversation with F.K. Sterling, author, renowned Ozark personality, and but living currently in Eureka Springs. So you lived down in Florida till you were about 17? Did you hear any of the stories of the swamp apes
Very
back
much
in that
so.
day?
I encountered one.
Anaconda. Isn't there a myth of an anaconda in Florida?
I've never heard of
No, that's not a myth.
kind of myth. I know
Oh, it's
that
not
there
a myth.
is recently a lot of Amazon pythons in the Everglades. They got escaped, I guess, and started breeding like cockroaches, and now they're all over the place.
You got to take a phone call.
So, my friend Jason, who puts on the Paracon KC every year, told me about there's a gas station just across the Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas border.
About 40 minutes.
And back behind the gas station is like a monument for the little people. Do you know? Can you kind of explain what the little people are in the Ozark
Yeah, there's the bobbies.
area? The bobbies.
Yeah.
That's what they're
And
called. Okay.
In Night Dwellers and also Ozark Reapers, I connect the legend of the bobbies with the gray aliens.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's an interesting twist.
I can see that.
Tommyknockers and the small people, the grays.
I also
considered
link them
3-4
to the
foot.
Moonite people, which is a Cherokee legend. So I say that all three of them are one and the same.
The moon. That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, you've heard it before. We just haven't talked about it, but they're
Looking up the bobbies. Sorry, I'm looking up the bobbies on my phone because I knew what they were. I knew they had a name, but I couldn't. I was thinking Tommyknockers or Puckwudgies is northeastern United
and
States.
those are hairy creatures with spears. They're not even. Now you mention it. Yeah, the grays kind of fill in a.
Yeah.
Well, even the Hopkinsville goblins.
Yeah.
Because they were silver.
The bobbies.
So, well, I mean, like Florida is kind of unique because, there are orangutans, chimpanzees, and probably silverbacks out in the Everglades due to all the hurricanes that came through and zoos.
I don't think the skunk ape is anything like that. It is a predator on a level of its own. Now, let me tell you something about Bigfoot. You have the Bigfoot in the Northwest. You have the Bigfoot in the Ozarks. I believe you have a Bigfoot in Idaho. You have Bigfoots in Europe, in Russia, in the Himalayas, in other parts of the world. You have a Yowie in Australia. And the whole thing is that you have different species is what you have. And not only do you have different species, they have different characteristics. And the skunk ape is a weapon of the Anunnaki. And he is weaponizing something, he's weaponizing himself to protect something that the Anunnaki want to keep. Now, in the Ozarks, he's a guardian. What's he guarding? Well, maybe a stash of gold, waiting for the return. And in the Northwest, he's just very elusive. He's a completely different animal than the Ozark Bigfoot or the skunk ape. And I call all these creatures forest people. Don't even refer to them really as Sasquatch. I consider that I have a misnomer. I call them the forest people. And I linked them to the Anunnaki.
Matt would absolutely agree with that. The Fae and spirits and all that kind of stuff, wouldn't you think?
Mr. Orton from
Yeah.
Dark and Cryptids.
Yeah.
Which you've been on his podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah, great guy. We love going out. He's taken us out squatching a few times. Had some pretty interesting results. Actually, the area that we're in from, we have a author up here, Carter Bouchard, who's also been on Matt's podcast. He's gotten handprints and footprints by Monkey Mountain. And then Harrisonville, which is just south of Kansas City, they've had some vocals and sightings. But Missouri's known for the Momo, and it was an aggressive creature, very similar to what the Fouke monster was.
Yeah, I talked
down in
about
Boggy
that in
Creek.
my most recent book, Ozark Nightmares. There's a whole article. It's actually a short story, not only on that, there's also a story on the Ozark Howler, and there's a story on the Folk Monster. All three of them are mentioned.
Now, to be fair, the Fouke monster had been shot at least once, if not
So is the
multiple
skunk ape, and
times.
my brother
So it could
is
be
one of the
aggressive
ones
for a
who
different
shot
reason.
Yeah.
Oh.
In fact, we all did, but he
read
hit it on the nose several times. But
I read a story about, I think it was in the Ozark area, of a farmer and one of his friends who encountered a Bigfoot at the edge of their field, and it scared them so much that he shot it. But when they went to go look at it, they realized it was humanoid, and they freaked out thinking that they were going to get charged with murder, so they buried it to hide the evidence. And when they went back, it was gone. But yeah, that's so. What are your thoughts on that? Like, when it comes to that type of situation, that morality, that it has human-like characteristics.
well, I mean, if a
Does
person
that-
comes
Another
at
tribe.
you kill him. You know, and then if
Well,
he comes
that's true.
at you, it's self-defense. There's no immorality about it. And he's a wild animal, even though he might be half intelligent. He's not a human being either. But that's beside the point. Is beside how you look at it. Yes, a Native American, he's spiritual. He's one of the old people. You know how the Native Americans get. But the point is that anybody who comes at you, whether it's Bigfoot or a human being, in my view, you have a right to kill them. If someone comes at me and threatens my life or wants to hurt me, that person is going down come hell or high water. And that's just the way I view it. And if you're defending yourself, you should have no recourse or no regrets about bringing it down. And that's all I think about Bigfoot. I don't think you should go out looking for him to kill him. I don't think you should hunt him, because if he is intelligent, then that's not something you want to do. But if he's coming at you, there should be no hesitation. Kill him.
You all right?
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. But I mean, when you're out in the woods, there's not just Bigfoot. You have mountain lions, you have black bear,
Panthers,
lynx, bobcats. There's enough animals to worry about besides just Bigfoot.
Bigfoot's the
I worry
last
about
thing
the
you
small
have to
ones, the
worry
snakes
about.
and spiders.
I think there's a lot more, bobcats and cougars and bears than there is Bigfoot. Bigfoot's there, but I think you're more likely going to find a bear than Bigfoot, because especially in the Northwest,
Well, it's
Bigfoot's pretty elusive.
I was watching a recent episode of
Yeah.
Josh Gates' show, and he was down in Mexico, and he's like, so we got to worry about all these big animals, and they're like, no. He's like, we've got 7 types of venomous snakes and spiders that you
They're
should
way
worry
more
about.
dangerous. Yeah, the snakes alone are probably more dangerous in the Ozarks than any of the others, because most of them generally will leave you alone. Other than a black bear, if it's hungry, that's not a good time.
Yeah, snakes.
Other than that, they generally
Snakes are deadly. It depends what kind, but if it's a rattlesnake, I wouldn't mess with it.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen a rattlesnake in person. I've heard them, but I've never seen one.
That may be the fact that you don't go out in the woods that often.
That's fair.
Yeah. You stay to mostly well-groomed areas, and you go out, but
almost got killed by a spider the other weekend using the restroom. I felt something brush up against my leg, and I looked down, and there's a giant wolf spider next to my foot.
It's just telling you hi.
Yeah, no. So, with this new e-magazine that you have coming out, are you going to be doing a special edition for the Halloween season coming up?
Yeah, probably the last week.
I think that
it's
would
going to be a weekly
pretty
thing.
cool.
It's going to be a weekly magazine.
So it'll be a weekly e-magazine then. And where would people go to find that and get ready to launch it?
And I'm in the process of naming it. I haven't even named it officially yet, so I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to call it. We'll know about all this within a week.
Hi. Well,
When you
please let us
get
know. We'll be more
when you
happy
get it
to
all
talk
fleshed
about
out, do you mind if we plug it on our
I'd love you to
website,
do that.
on Facebook, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah,
Because I think people would be interested. I know I am.
I'm kind of gravitating towards Eureka Lore magazine. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great name.
And then it would be the
And
website. I'm thinking eurekalore.com.
Hopefully you can get that.
Well, I'm telling you now because this is not going to be out for a week, and I plan to have that reserved by a week.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I think eurekalore.com would be perfect.
So where can people find your books?
AncientOzarks.com is my website. Has all of them on there. Or they can go to Apple iBooks, Barnes & Noble, or Amazon.
And they just look up F.K. Sterling,
Brings
and that
up all
should
of
bring
them.
them up on all those sites. And then you have copies when you're doing live events. What's your next live event?
I'm going to be at the Eureka Springs Writers Conference. So we're going to do that.
Oh, nice.
And that's the first week of October.
so eurekalore.com is available. Just to let you know. So there's a website you can go to, domain.com, and search for the domains. So I think that's a great idea. That's a great name for it.
So out of all the books that you've written, what ones would you recommend, like, to start off
Ozark
with to get into the
Reapers.
series?
Ozark Reapers
Sometimes the
is
first one's
the
not always the
scariest
best.
one I have. And since
That's
I
the one I'm
got
working on right
that
now.
copy, I created an expanded edition. So it went from being
nice.
a really short book, about 105 pages. Now it's almost 300 pages. And it's really
wow.
full of
like
scary
doubled it.
stuff. I added all kinds of scary
That's awesome.
scenes and terror and body horror and gore.
That's awesome. I'm still trying to finish it before September. Nightmare Tales, short stories based on events that have happened. It takes time. It's
Uh,
writing's not easy.
Writing is not easy. Publishing's also not as easy as it.
No.
It's gotten better. It's
Oh,
easier now than
yeah,
what
I'm
it
telling
was
you,
back
it's
in the day
very.
with
I
the
mean,
printing
I
press.
use
But
draft to digital. It's once I get the manuscript and I format it, it's so easy. You just click it. It just takes maybe
Yeah.
10 minutes. You got an ebook and a print book. The hardest thing to do is doing
Yeah, you start to have an agent.
audiobook on draft to digital. It's a little more involved, a little more complicated. I even haven't figured out how to do it yet. But the other stuff, the ebook and the publishing book, it's just like, bam, you're done.
So I got a tip for you because I'm using it myself. There's a website called acx.com. You can post your books on there and have people audition to read
I've
them
heard
for
that.
you. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Okay.
I highly recommend it. You can even
Larry
audition
has
for
2 books out right now. Not mentioning coloring books, but actual novels. The
Yep.
Children, Birth of Evil, which is based off of the Black Eyed Kids,
Ah.
and then the Parachronicles,
Yes.
Volume 1. Yeah. Let them in. Yeah.
That's
Black Eyed Children.
That's my newest one. My newest
The,
book.
yeah, so they just a couple years ago made a movie called Let Me In, and they basically took the vampire route of the story. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, to be honest with you. I don't think we still know how to classify them.
But the problem is, if you let them in, there's usually not a story.
That's true.
It's kind of like an aggressive Bigfoot. You don't hear about them very often because if they're truly aggressive, you don't get to stay that
That's
story
right.
anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So do you have any events coming up in the next couple of months that you wanted to plug?
Of this Saturday, which you're probably not going to get this out in time, but if you did it this Saturday at LaGrange's Oddities and Bookshop, I'm having a book signing.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, no, this will be out Friday morning or Friday
great.
evening.
It's right down there on South Main Street.
And if you don't mind, if you have that as an event on Facebook,
I do have it on Facebook.
I'll try to find it. I will try to find that and share that out to our group, because there's we have friends all over.
Yeah.
We have people up in Springfield, Missouri, just north of you, and of course Matthew Orton and his crew down on the Little Rock. So it kind of covers that area. So we know people listen. So maybe they'll come out and say hi.
So, any final words, Jamie?
Well, I just want to say that it's been a pleasure being with you, and I'd love to come back on, and maybe we'll do something closer to Halloween, and we'll talk about some of the more scarier books I have, like this book, and some of my other stuff.
Yes, I would love to do an episode together. I would love to do an episode about the Black Eyed Kids. I think that would be a phenomenal.
Yeah,
we should do that for Halloween.
I have a few offers for Halloween, so we'll have to see how I can fit it in. Maybe we'll do a couple shows that day. Maybe one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one at night. And I can do all of them. Just see how I can arrange them. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, the night might be difficult for us. We're actually leading an investigation.
I know that Patty, who was there at the conference, she wants to try to do one on Halloween. She doesn't know if she can fit me in, but she's going to try to do one with me. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice.
She's a sweetheart.
Well, okay, Sterling, thank you for your time. We'll definitely look forward. We'll figure out some other times to come on, because with all the books that you have and all the topics you've kind of covered, I think there will be at least 2 to 3 more times we can get together, talk about a topic that's directly tied to the book. Like, first one would be obviously the Black Eyed Kids, and then the horror stories and all that, getting closer to Halloween. That would be another one. Your Reaper, the fact that you've doubled the pages in that. But thank you for coming on. We greatly appreciate your time. Hopefully you'll have even more book sales coming up. And if you have anything coming up, tag us on Facebook. We'll be more than happy to share it, or if we can see it, we'll share it out so people know where you're
Sounds
at and what's
good.
coming up.
Sounds real good.
You want anything else to tell
Just
our
look at
viewers
me,
out
follow
there?
me on Facebook, FK Sterling, and look forward to hearing from anybody. If you have a podcast yourself and you're interested in having me come on, love to come on and discuss this stuff with you. And I'm open to anything. Any type of deal you want to make, I'll make a deal. So,
And be sure to check out the links in the show notes, because there will be links to all of your books, your events, where to reach you out on social media. So be sure to check those out, folks. Yeah. Thank you
All
so
right,
much
thank
for
you.
coming on.
Thank you, sir. Be safe, and hopefully we'll see you
All right, peace.
soon.